Hi, my name is Chidi, and welcome back to this series on the hierarchy of consciousness. Today, we'll be concluding this series, and we'll be tying this level of consciousness to taking responsibility. How does being aware, or how does our level of consciousness affect taking responsibility? So first and foremost, we'll go back to the quote by Albert Einstein that says, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. In other words, when a particular level of consciousness creates a problem, you need to go a step higher or 2 steps higher to solve that problem. So remember vividly that we talked about 4 levels of consciousness, starting with the blamer, the guy who blames everybody, the responder, the guy who responds to issues, the empowerer, the guy who creates responders, of a system, and the sense, the one who looks out for those who cannot take responsibility for their actions. So those are the 4 levels of consciousness that we originally created. So today, so after that level of consciousness, we're trying to ask this critical question. So when should you take responsibility? When is it your responsibility to take action? According to popular psychiatrist Scott Peck, he says that the bulk of people who visit the psychiatrist suffer from 2 kinds of problem. The first is neurosis, and the second is character disorder. Character disorder is when people do not take enough. Both of them actually are problems of responsibility. So character disorder is when people take little or no responsibility on issues affecting them. So when somebody who has a character disorder is in conflict with the world, he automatically says it is the world's problem. On the other hand of it is somebody who is neurosis. Somebody who suffers from neurosis is neurotic, is somebody who takes too much responsibility. When he's in conflict with the world, he blames himself. So he takes too much. Everything that happens, anything that goes wrong is his fault. So we're trying to today, so we'll be concluding this episode and tying our level of consciousness to taking responsibility. Because when you take too much responsibility, you become neurotic, and when you take little or not enough responsibility, you suffer from character disorder. So the question is, when should you take responsibility? The first is when it is your responsibility to take responsibility. So say for instance, you are a salesperson and you'll be given a territory, a region, a zone, or a space to manage. It is your responsibility to take care of that space, that region, that territory, and etc. etc. So when it is your responsibility, it has been agreed that you're supposed to take action on issues bordering these areas. Then it is your responsibility to do that and to do it well. The second is when it is not your responsibility, but it's going to be your problem. Okay, when you look at it, it's not my responsibility. Nobody asked, I didn't agree with anybody to do this thing. But when you look at it again, when the repercussions come around, are you going to suffer for it? If you're going to suffer for that repercussion, even if it is not your responsibility to fix it, then it becomes your responsibility to take action. So say sometime in 2013, when I was still driving the commercial bus, the Danfo, I was trying to help one of my customers or clients, if you like it, to move some of her stuff from Yanopaja, a part of Lagos, to another part of Lagos. And so I was driving behind this big truck, and I could see that the big truck carried some granites, some granites on it. But I actually saw it, but I just chose to ignore. So somewhere along the line, what I just saw was that one of the granites just struck on my windscreen, and the windscreen, cracked. So money that I would have used, from that transaction, I ended up using that money to fix the windscreen. So when it is your responsibility to take action, it is your responsibility to take action. For instance, we are all battling with the issues of rape and of poisoning and all of that. It is not your responsibility to stop people from raping you, but it is your responsibility for protecting yourself from being raped. So it is your responsibility to ensure that you do everything within your own power to ensure that you don't suffer the consequences of other people's action. The third and not the least, is when you are being called to take action that will make the world a better place. Say for instance that you hear issues, or you hear issues, or you hear stuff about domestic violence, human trafficking, rape, and all such issues that affect the world. It is your responsibility to report such issues to the authorities, the relevant authorities, and so that action can be taken. So these are a minimum of 3 areas for which you will be called to take responsibility or to take actions. So thank you very much for being a part of this series. It is my hope and sincere belief that this series would have impacted in some ways. So be a part of this conversation. Let's hear what you think. Let's hear your views. Until we meet again, stay factful, stay blunt.